We only resent things in other people that remind us of things inside ourselves that we're ashamed of and that we're really dissociating from, and we're too proud to admit we do it, but we actually do what we condemn in them. In all probability, you've met people who repeatedly attract events in their life, and it seems like they just keep repeating the same thing and recycling, kind of like history repeating itself, but individualized now. My topic today is on how whatever you condemn, you tend to breed, attract, and become. So I'd like to address that. And you might want to take some notes on this because it'll stretch your mind a bit. When you are not living in accordance with what you value most and not really filling your day with the highest priority actions, and you feel that you've been bombarded by unexpecteds and you are down in your amygdala reacting and surviving, you tend to be more polarized in your expectations and experiences. And what does that mean? That means the amygdala, which is a subcortical area of the brain, tends to want to seek prey and avoid predators, seek pleasure, avoid pain, seek ease, avoid difficulty, seek support, avoid challenge. It tends to divide a magnet into half and try to get one-sided magnets. But in reality, life has both sides. It's like trying to get in a relationship that has more support and support without challenge, or kind without cruel, or nice without mean. Not going to happen. You're going to have both in a relationship, and the longer you're in a relationship, the more you get to comprehend that. So we tend to, when we're not living by priority and we're not more objective and we're not more balanced and resilient, we tend to polarize our perspective and seek a one-sided experience. And we want to avoid the other side. So we're caught in a seeking and avoiding animal behavior, a survival behavior, instead of an objective embracing of the two sides of life in the pursuit of something meaningful, which is a mean between these pairs of opposites. So anytime we're seeking out a one-sided and trying to avoid the other side, because life has a magnet, two sides, we attract into our life the complementary opposite of whatever we're seeking. That's why you probably heard the statement, similars attract, and so do opposites attract. Because you're seeking that which is similar to you, but you're also attracting that which is opposite to you, keep you balanced. You maximally grow at the border of support and challenge. So the more you try to get supported, and the more you tend to become dependent on that support, the more you attract the challengers to break the dependency. So you attract into your life the opposite of what you're seeking, in addition to what you're seeking. You're seeking that which you're striving for, but you're also attracting the opposite. So you're seeking a nice person, you get somebody that's also mean at times. You seek something that's pleasurable, but it now has a set of challenges with it. Anything you desire that you assume is going to give you more advantage and disadvantage, by the time you actually obtain it, you find out there's disadvantages that came with it. Spandrels, as they sometimes call them. Unexpected things that come, but they're actually predictable. But they're unexpected if you're blinded, living in the amygdala, trying to get a one-sided world, and subjectively having a confirmation bias on the positives and a disconfirmation bias on the negatives. We're deleting out the negatives and then smacked by them. So whatever we seek, we attract also, in addition to that which we're seeking, the opposite. It comes a pair, like a magnet. And you also breed what you condemn. So if you're trying to get rid of it and condemn half of it and seek the only side, whatever you condemn, you attract. But also, just like in a relationship, if you're infatuated with a certain trait, you typically make love with somebody during the time you're infatuated, and during the time you resent them, you don't have lovemaking as much. When you do, you tend to epigenetically code the offspring, in case you have children, with the behaviors that you're trying to avoid. That's why you see when your teenagers get to be a certain age, you say, you're just like your father, you're just like your mother. Because the very thing that you infatuate with them has the opposite with it that comes with it. And then you're wanting one because you're seeking it and you're wanting to avoid the other. And so that annoys you. And so you're actually creating and breeding epigenetically the expression of the trait that you're trying to avoid. And that teaches you automatically to make sure that you learn to love all parts. You're there to love both sides of people and not just one side. If you're in a relationship and all you're wanting to do is get one side and you're not embracing both sides, you're not going to be able to love the individual. You're trying to get rid of half of them, just like trying to get rid of half of you. It's going to be futile. But if you love both sides of them, the things you like and dislike, the support and challenge, the nice and mean, the positive, negative, whatever about them, the peace and war, then you can love them for who they are. So anytime you're making love with them during the infatuation phase of relationship, you're epigenetically coding the genetics of the children to express the trait that you're trying to avoid and the thing you're blind to when you're infatuated. See, when you're infatuated with somebody, you're blind to the downsides. When you're resentful, you're blind to the upside. So when you're infatuated and making love, the parts that you're blind to are epigenetically coded into the equation to make sure that they surface to teach you how to love those parts of the individual you love, both sides, and the children. And that's why the parts that you're infatuated with, they come with the parts you resent. And then when they surface, you say, well, you're just like your mom. You're just like the parts I don't like about your mom, or you're just like the parts I don't like about your dad. So you will automatically breed epigenetically the coded components that you're trying to avoid in a relationship to teach you that you can't avoid, you can only embrace the two sides of life. When you're mature, you embrace both sides of life. You're in your executive center. That's why when you're living by priority and your blood glucose and oxygen goes in the executive center, you're able to handle both sides and have a realistic expectation that people are going to be both-sided. But when you're in your amygdala, because of the subjective biases, it automatically assumes it's trying to avoid a predator and seek a prey, avoid challenge, seek ease, and it's going to look for a one-sided world. And then the other side's going to smack it. So it's going to attract what it's condemning. It's going to breed what it's condemning. And you breed, attract, and become. And you discover, as I've teach in the breakthrough experience, 35 years almost, that whatever you condemn in other people, you're pointing your finger at yourself. So what happens is you go around and you, as it says in Romans 2:1, it says when you condemn somebody, beware for judging them for whatever you judge them for. You got three fingers pointing back at you. You do the same thing. We only resent things in other people that remind us of things inside ourselves that we're ashamed of and that we're really dissociating from, and we're too proud to admit we do it, but we actually do what we condemn in them. So what happens is whatever we repress in our life and try to pretend like we don't have, that we see in other people that we don't like and condemn, we automatically, eventually, that repression and that cover up with that pride eventually has that repression express itself, and we become the very thing that we condemn. We're seeing that right now in the Middle East conflicts that are going on. Each country or each group of people are trying to condemn the other person for their behaviors, and they're doing the very same behaviors that the people are condemned. So I'm a firm believer that whatever you condemn, you breed, attract, and become to try to teach you how to love the parts that you've not been able to love before, and to teach you that life has two sides, and it's striving to get a one-sided life is futile. One of the biggest reasons for depression is the comparison of your current reality to a fantasy that you're striving for. You're fantasizing that somehow you're going to get a one-sided world, more nice than mean, more positive, negative, more kind than cruel, more peace than war, more support than challenge, more giving than taking, more generous than stingy, more considerate than inconsiderate, more white than black, more whatever, positive than negative. Not going to happen. Everything in the world is a unity of opposites. Heraclitus, the Greek philosopher, wrote about this 500 BC or so. He basically said that there's a unity of opposites, and whatever you have, there's the opposites, kind of like a yin-yang Chinese philosophy or a Taoist philosophy. So instead of sitting there trying to get a one-sided world, the reason why we breed, attract, and become whatever we condemn is to teach us how to love both sides of life. And therefore, that what we try to run away from, we keep running into. And what's interesting is if we strive for that which is only one side, this infatuated side, and the other side smacks us, we have distress, and we create symptoms that causes an entropic destruction of our body to let us know that we're actually not living with a balanced orientation. As Pythagoras said in his times, if we balance our mind, we balance our body, we have healing. But as long as we're striving for a one-sided world, the other side's going to have to bring us in to balance us out. So either of you embrace both sides of life and pursue a balanced orientation with your foresight and your strategic planning, which sets a real objective that mitigates the risks and handles things and preemptive strikes things and is available for both sides. Or you're in your amygdala looking for a one-sided world and getting smacked, attracting what you don't want, breeding what you don't want, and eventually becoming aware of what you already are, but you're too proud to admit it, and now you surface it. So you breed, attract, and become whatever you condemn. And if you look very carefully, the thing you infatuate with, you eventually undermine because you don't like to be controlled. Whenever you're infatuated with something, it occupies space and time in your mind and runs you. Anything you resent occupies space and time in your mind and runs you. So you don't want to have things run you, so you undermine the thing that you infatuate with to make sure you're set free from being run by the thing you infatuate with. You get infatuated with somebody that's got really good fitness and looks or whatever, and then you take them out to dinner and fatten them up just to make sure they don't run your life, because now you're completely controlled by the beauty of them and their looks. So we breed, attract, and become whatever we condemn to teach us to see both sides and to love and embrace both sides of life. This is exactly what I'm trying to teach people in the breakthrough experience, because people bang their head against the wall, keep repeating history in their life, just like societies and cultures do, because they keep striving for a one-sided world. There's many delusions that people have, and seeking for one-sided experiences is futile. You're trying to get a relationship with one side, trying to get a goal with one side, trying to get anything with one side is fantasy, and it's futile. That's why nature brings the other side, because we maximally grow at the border of support and challenge. We maximally grow at the border of all pairs of opposites. And this is not new. This is, again, thousands of years old. We know this, but we tend to forget it. We need to be reminded of it. Embrace both sides. If you want to love somebody, you're going to embrace both sides. The longer you're with somebody, you know you're going to have both sides, things you like and dislike about them, the things, the little peccadillos that you don't like, and the things you admire. Both are necessary for you to grow. Maximum growth and development occurs at the border of pairs of opposites. And that's what love is. In the Breakthrough Experience program, when I do the Demartini method, I take the trait that somebody despises, that they keep recreating in their life. The Buddhists call it the karmic wheel. You just keep repeating the same thing because you keep judging it and you keep avoiding it. And everything you try to avoid, you keep running into because you're trying to escape it. And when you escape it, you're searching for the thing that keeps you juvenilely dependent and infatuated. And then you get smacked by the thing you don't want. Again, that's distress. Eustress is when you're embracing both sides. Wise, mature, embracing objectively both sides of life. And when you're pursuing challenges that inspire you, you wake up genius. When you're trying to avoid challenges that inspire you, you end up with distress. So if you don't want the distress and you don't want the repeated cycles, it's the karmic wheel, if you will, then embrace both sides of life. When you're living by your highest priorities, you automatically do so. In the Breakthrough Experience, I show people how to live by priority, how to organize their life, delegate lower priority things so they have least likely to be pursuing the impossibles and the ones that create futility and frustration, and allows them to understand that they have everything they see in other people, that there's going to be both sides to life, and to embrace that and to maximize your potential by embracing both sides. If you expect to have a one-sided individual or goal or anything, you're going to end up frustrated and learning a lesson the hard way. So whatever you condemn, you breed, attract, and become. In the Breakthrough Experience, I teach you how to do the Demartini method on how to dissolve those unrealistic expectations and delusions so you can set real goals in real time and achieve real outcomes that have both sides so you can have fulfillment. You're not going to have fulfillment trying to get rid of half of your life's experiences, and you're not going to get one-sided experiences. You might as well embrace the both sides of life. I learned 39 years ago not to waste your time on a one-sided world. It's futile. So you breed, attract, and become whatever you condemn, and whatever you condemn is a reflection of you to teach you how to love yourself and both sides of yourself. That's why I want people to come to the Breakthrough Experience, because they can walk in not loving half of themselves or others, and they can walk out embracing the wholeness of who they are and the people they care about and love. So I just want to share that message with you today. And I want you to come to the Breakthrough Experience so I can share with you the Demartini method and the value applications on how to live by priority and how to neutralize all the unrealistic expectations you have on yourself and others so you can set real goals in real time and have real outcomes and objectives and have fulfillment.